So since the last installment on the City of Alta build, I've done just a little bit more. I have the track now ballasted, mostly up around the station. I still got some work to do. I've added a little bit more cover on the hill, and I'm ready to add in some additional vegetation. So here is a seafoam super tree. So I've got it painted, I've got it flocked using kind of a darker green and then some lighter brown, sort of simulates fall foliage. What I'll do is I will pluck off individual pieces of it to put in different areas. So that is going to kind of go in, some low brush is going to go in along here, a few little small ones just along the ridge. Again, I've got to make it where it can go under the cabinets. Over here, there will be, again, some additional small ones kind of placed in and around here. Some brush just along here, in between the buildings. And then I'll keep what's left for later, because I'll have opportunities once I get down in here and I get this area done to probably put a few little brush along the train line there, and then some other small spots. So that's what I'm working on here for right now. And soon I'm going to be working on painting and marking the road. That should be in this video. All right, some of the seafoam super tree material pulled down to end scale is now in place. Kind of makes those scenes look nice. You can see through it. See the trees, they blend in well. Did some over on this side as well. So I can see it better from this angle. Just kind of put in there some brush. I did add a little bit over here just to kind of break up the look of that. You can see I also hand planted little tufts of grass on that hillside, and then sprinkled some earth colored ground foam. Since it's fall, I don't want it to be a greenish color, more of a brownish tan. So we're making progress. Now I've got the buildings sort of set back in position. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little research and find out measurements of typical highways, because again, the scale on this is a little bit large for end scale, just as it sits. But I will paint it down to the size that I need, and then I can come back in and I can do some beveling, which I've already done some beveled on the side of this, that I can use it for the gravel edge on the sides of the road, while the actual road is, kind of coming in through here and then on up and taking care of parking areas. So I'm going to do a little research on that, and then come in with some calipers and start to figure out how I want it, and then put some witness marks down so that I can outline the shape of how the road will actually look, where the parking spots will be, and then I'll start experimenting with some paints to again get me sort of that off grayish blue, grayish black type concrete road or blacktop. We'll see how it looks. I'm still not sure if I want to make it dark or quasi dark. We'll see here in a little bit. So I am ready to paint the road. I have my witness marks established for the road. Did a little research and found out that an average lane on a paved or blacktop road tends to be about 12 foot wide. So about 24 feet in end scale is roughly 1.5 inches. I made mine a little bit bigger so that it goes out to about 1 3/4 inches, which is roughly 28 feet or so in end scale. Give me just a little bit more width on the side, and I've seen roads that are that way. So I'm going to come in and I am going to paint in between the witness marks first. The parking areas along the businesses and that side street I'm going to do with a slightly different color once I get the main road established. So that'll be coming up next. Basic painting on the road and parking areas is done. And I have come in and sort of etched the surface to show concrete pads. It's still got the dust from the plaster on it. What I will do is just let everything dry for the paint, and then I'll come back in and I will gently sweep up debris once the paint sets a little bit more. Then I will come back in with chalks and start to do some chalking and start to weather more of the parking spaces, doing some touch-up painting, adding some lines where there makes it logical that there should be some seams. So far this is looking pretty good. And it's the same technique that I used over on the HO scale, which it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but it should look pretty much the same. I'll even things out, add some very fine sifted clays on the side of the road to look like the edging, but making progress. So I'm a little farther along. I have the basics painted. So I've got my etching in, I've got dark colors added, the main road painted. You can see the gloss that is still wet, that will dry flat. Yeah, that's going to work out for me. This over here will be one of the diagonal parking areas. This area over here that is painted darker is going to be, again, the diagonal parking, but an area where they've been putting in some new asphalt. I have a little N-scale steam roller for road work that I'm going to build and put it on here. So I can have a little bit of activity. I can get some little dump trucks, some asphalt type loads where they're doing some street work in town. So I think that ought to look pretty good when I'm done. So I've got road markings to do and other stuff, but I will let this dry now for, again, overnight at least. Let everything kind of cure up. Then I'll start looking at doing road markings, and then I will use chalks to do finish work on it. But what I'm going to do here in just a few minutes, once that's drier over there, is I'll put the buildings back on, again, kind of get an idea of how things look, and then start thinking about what I'm going to do for the additional detailing. And I can go out to the garden and get some dirt, and I can sift it for some really fine material to kind of put along the side of the road in some of these areas. And for the station parking lot, that's going to be more dirt over there. So a lot more to come. Once I get it weathered with chalks and some of the other lines added, I think that's going to look like a halfway decent road. Still a lot of detail work to do on it, but I will powder up a lot of chalk to kill some of the sheen, and do that after I get some stripes put in for parallel parking. I got buildings to paint, bases to do. Buildings will probably be the last thing I do in the video. So I'll continue to work on the road here for this next segment and get some more stuff done on it. Getting closer. So I've been spending the past couple of hours doing a little bit of weathering and getting the lines down. So what I used here was a product I saw on Cousin Vinny's show, and I really like it. It's worked super on what I'm doing here. So just swinging back over real quick, it is a product from Highways and Byways in scale white road stripes. You get a sheet, and you get enough to do a lot. So everything that you've seen on that shot I just had up in the city was from one little column there, and I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 5 lines there. So I've got a lot left, but it looks good, and I'm gonna have to touch up just a little bit, press it in, make sure it sticks, maybe a dab of super glue in a couple of spots. They're vinyl, and you press them in place. So we'll see how this all works out over time. But I've still got some work to do. I've still got a little touch-up painting. I've had to reposition a few, and it pulled the paint off my plaster, which is because I didn't let it dry enough. Anyway, that's how I do things. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start other scenery. I'll start gluing down like that section of sidewalk there. I can get just some gravel base for like a little gravel parking lot on that side. Over at the railroad depot, that's going to be sort of a dirt entryway as well. I can do up by the, well, what back in the day might have been an old gas station. So I've got some stuff coming along here. I will do, like I said, some additional weathering, probably put a couple of drops of super glue in some spots there if that vinyl pops up, which might only be just right at that spot. So we'll see how it is. But it's really good. I like it. Yeah, I might get some HO scale to do some of my HO stuff, or maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, that's all I'm going to do on this for tonight, and we'll see what kind of mischief I can get into tomorrow. Well, I'm back, and it's like about 10 seconds since the last segment. I thought of something just as a tip to kind of help out guys that are wanting to put lines down and do like diagonal parking and whatnot. You know, spacing is often difficult if you're just eyeballing it, and I know that's the same way for me. So what I did is I used a caliper for an outside reader, for like inside a pipe, something like that. I set it to the distance that I wanted, and then I can just come in and I put it down. And again, it's not exact, but then I lay the next one down beside it, come over and put the caliper down again, and then lay the next one down beside that. Kind of keeping, you know, an eyeball for the same angle, but that worked well so that I got equal spacing for my diagonal parking lines, and they turned out pretty good. You know, I'm pleased with those. They look pretty nice. I might come in and extend them a little bit, just to kind of make them a little longer, or maybe not. Let's see what I come up with. All right, that's it for this evening on the layout. We'll see what mischief I can do tomorrow. I'm making a little more progress. I did not let it sit overnight. I never do. So I came back in, painted up a little bit just to demarcate the parking areas. Started putting in more ground cover. So I've got sort of the sides of the roads done, and then those little start of the drainage ditches, and everything is still wet. I will come back in and I will add a few small pieces of the sea foam in a couple of more spots, not getting too close to the road, but you know, just kind of to fill it in. So I'll keep working my way back. Tomorrow I think I'm going to be working in this area here. I will get the sidewalk glued down after I paint it, and start putting in a gravel parking lot around that building, getting things done around the sign, putting in some more ground cover, and that'll probably wrap up this video. The next one will be a bit more work on different areas of Alta, and then I'll go on to hopefully the O-scale project. But we'll see how it goes. So I have my concrete pads for the buildings and then the sidewalk painted and weathered. So I'm going to get those put in place. And I think this will be it for this video. This video is already almost 15 minutes long, but you know, I'll get these on, and then I'll get them glued in and continue on. So what I did for this is I used essentially just two paints. I used a white wash and then a dark gray. Just did a little bit of blending in a paper plate to give me an off gray kind of a concrete look. Once that dried, just a dusting of chalks to fill in where I did some etching. And it looks like weathered concrete. I'm going to set them back in, put the buildings on them, take a quick shot, and then that will do it for this video for this week. That is going to work. So nice dirty sidewalk. You can see the grooves that I etched in. been in use for a while. So I'm happy with that. I think that's going to look okay here. Well, it has been a couple of days since that last clip, and I've been busy working on Alta. I've got a variety of scenery reasonably finished at this point. Just kind of work along here. I've got more of the seafoam put in. I have been building N-scale kits. So I've got some road equipment here, a grader, as well as a dump truck, and then a little steamroller. Build a couple of pickups coming over this way. More vehicles. I've got to paint them and detail them a little bit more, but this makes Alta come to life a little bit. Swinging over this way, again, more scenery put in place. Trailers, ties along the railroad tracks, in a variety of odds and ends to make a town come to life. So I'm happy with how that looks. Did make another one of the little stock trucks. This one went a lot faster than the first one that I did, since I knew what I was doing on it. But Alta is looking like a little town. So that's going to be it for this video. The next video, I'm going to have a little bit more that I'm going to do. I'll finish the scenery in Alta. I will do the structures later. But the next video is going to be mostly running trains, both N-scale and HO, I think. So I'm going to have some fun operating for the next video. Anyway, everybody take care and keep having fun on your layouts.